to another episode of It's All Been Checked Before. This one, Lonely Among Us. That's got to be tough. The holidays are tough on everyone. But hey, speaking of the holidays, do some gift giving. You give us a gift. Give you a gift. Go to patreon.com/IABD, or if you want to call it patreon.com, that's fine too. Either way, patreon.com, it's the same with that /IABD. Go there, get bonuses, hear bonus episodes. We did a Futurama episode. Go check that out. Go hear the extended Encounter at Farpoint, right? The Encounter at Farpoint episode with our good friend Shane Stefanchik. That was his first episode. Perfect. It's the first episode of The Next Generation we did on here. So, while you're in that gift-giving mood, go, and enjoy this episode of It's All Been Checked Before with Lonely Among Us.
Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Checked Before. Skeleton Crew.
This is Steven.
Jimmy-Jerome.
First skeleton crew of the TNG, I think.
Good episode.
How does this happen? It seems like people tend to pick the right episodes to bail on us.
Not always.
Not always, but
I mean, they were bailing in season 3 a lot, but I just assumed that was coincidence because we've been going on for a while.
That's fair too.
We're here to talk about, what was the name of that episode?
Lonely Among Us.
Lonely Among Us, okay.
Even the title doesn't make any sense.
The episode description, according to IMDb, is while distracted by two antithetical races applying for Federation membership, the Enterprise picks up a sentient entity that can alternately possess either man or machinery.
I think that kind of sums up the episode. With about 20 minutes ago, I wrote in my head, I didn't write it, in my head I was like, I feel like this episode's less than the sum of its parts, and I liked a lot of the elements. Mm-hmm. But that just describes it perfectly. Like, I think you didn't need both. You could have just had the entity.
I mean, yeah, I really felt like the two aliens got the short shift. We didn't really get to see much of them.
Yeah, and I thought they were interesting, and then they just kind of got reduced to, you're cats, and you're snakes, and you guys hate each other, and that's all we need, and somebody's going to kill the other.
And the crew's just going to ignore you and let you kill each other. Yeah, which... Like, you knew there's an issue, but you just let them go.
And that was the first half of the episode. It was like, I feel like we'd already had, the Naked Time kind of episode and that kind of stuff. It's like, you guys are used to this stuff. And we got into where Picard asked Data, and he's like, it's a virtual impossibility, which suggests already something weird is going on. Mm-hmm. But everyone's just like, eh. And even Picard, when they're going to overthrow the captain, is like, well, he hasn't exhibited any overt behavior. He turned the ship around to go check out a cloud. Mm-hmm. Come on.
Turning the ship around to go check out a cloud, in of itself, I don't feel as strange behavior.
20 minutes at Warp 8 or whatever, I would have been okay. But at that point, I'm like, no.
I think they could have had a perfectly justifiable story reason if he's like, hey, whatever's been possessing people, it's in the ship, it came from that cloud, let's go back and check it out.
Then you got me.
But he didn't.
It was
the way he did it, not the fact that he did it. That was weird. I will say, looking at the IMDb user ratings, this the only episode they have ranked lower than this that we've watched so far is Code of Honor.
Okay.
It's an absolutely god-awful episode. Unfortunately, there are several more episodes this season marked lower than this.
Ooh.
Including the very next one.
Oh. Huh.
Which we'll be watching next week. Not as soon as we finish this podcast.
Correct.
Just in general, the whole thing didn't make sense because people were acting strangely and other people were noticing but not really following up on it. And it was just, once it was, I don't know. And the fact that they were ignoring the aliens and the fact that I just felt like everybody was acting out of character and not doing their jobs. And I think that was my biggest problem with this episode.
Yeah, I think that's very accurate. I think that's perfectly accurate because the Riker we've had so far would have been like, I'm going to take that. Everyone took a half a step towards what they needed to do and then backed away. Mm-hmm. It was just and they even asked Troy, like, well, why didn't you tell us? Well, I thought it was just, and I actually liked that conversation about duality. I thought that was interesting. Again, that's one of those elements I was like, that's an interesting part. I wish, but it doesn't add up to a great episode.
Well, if she's not sure, but she suspects something, and it was very clear that she wasn't sure, but also suspected, you still raise that with the first officer. I mean, I liked the scene where the senior officers had a meeting behind McCoy's back.
Yeah, I did too.
And I get their reluctance to overthrow him. I totally
understand
get
that too.
Then do something else, like test your theories.
Right.
Like, put him on the hot coals. Yeah. And they kind of did by sending Crusher and Riker in. But then, when he very clearly didn't pass their sniff test, they were still like, let's just see what happens. They're lucky this alien was benevolent.
Right.
Because if it was malevolent, they'd all be dead.
Right.
Just like Assistant Chief Engineer Singh.
Oh, poor Singh.
Even the ending where they're like, Picard's in the cloud. Let's just drive into the cloud and see if he hops aboard.
Yeah.
I'm like, so the energy beings could invade you. You're just going to take on faith that, well, this one didn't hurt us.
Right.
So we'll just let the rest of them opportunity.
Was Picard actually like, all right, I'm interested in going along with this?
I don't think so.
I don't. That's
I mean, I think that it's up to personal interpretation. I don't think it's clear.
Yeah.
But I don't.
I don't see how that makes sense.
No, I don't think it makes sense either. I could see him wanting to explore the new things, but I don't think he would have taken it so far.
And didn't one of the characters try to explain it in that? Oh, I could see the captain doing that.
I mean, again, I could see him do the exploration, but he just wasn't acting like himself.
Because they seemed surprised, like they deserted him. It's like that was probably the plan all along.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan.
Nah.
Lots of great elements to talk through, though. This isn't like a god-awful episode. I mean, it's a bad episode.
It's not a good
but there's good parts in it. One thing that I just noticed here, because I was looking through the list of guest stars, I was very excited to see Colm Meaney return, O'Brien return.
Yeah.
He wasn't named, and he wasn't doing what we saw him do before.
Yeah.
And IMDb is just listed as Security Guard 1. He's not listed as O'Brien.
Yeah.
But still, it was O'Brien. And this was only his second episode since the pilot, right? The pilot.
I think so, yeah.
Also, Mark Alamo played Badar NDD.
So he's one of the aliens?
I assume.
I'm going to guess.
I don't know. He's the one that says, I admit some of my people are impulsive, but we all have reason to hate the Sile. So I guess I'm assuming he's the main cat person?
Yeah, right? Yeah, they're the Antiquans, right? Yeah.
Sure. I mean, because I don't see any other names, I'm assuming he's the main one. But what's important about Mark Alamo, he plays 4 different characters in 4 different episodes of Next Gen, but he did 35 episodes of Deep Space Nine as the main antagonist, Gul Dukat. So he will be, from the pilot all the way to the series finale, and everything in between, he's an extremely important reoccurring character in Deep Space Nine.
That is kind of a cool thing, and we've talked about how many of the original series guys show up in later series, whether it's a McCoy Kirk or just a side guy. It is kind of cool that those people end up just hanging in that universe.
We've already seen Armin Shimmerman play a Ferengi, and he plays a lead character in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
So we've already seen 2 major DS9 characters. Mark Alamo is best known for Deep Space Nine, Tango and Cash, and Total Recall.
Okay.
And The Last Starfighter.
That makes sense.
So he's
he did 80s movies, and then he got into the Trek universe.
Total Recall was 1990.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. The very end of the 80s.
But yeah.
Part of the 80s.
He really has very few credits after Deep Space Nine. He did an episode of Family Guy in 2010. Yeah, other than that, he's done a couple video games.
I wonder if it was one of the checked ones.
It said he played Dean of the Secret Order of Dirty Joke Writers.
Oh, nope, that was a different one. Yeah. I remember that episode.
We also had Kavi Raz play Lieutenant Junior Grade, Assistant Chief Engineer Singh.
Yeah, I felt bad that we finally got an Indian guy and they killed him.
Yeah, and he was at first, I mean, he was kind of lower ranking. He's equivalent rank to Geordi and Worf, who are the junior officers, but he's Assistant Chief Engineer, so he must be sharp.
I did kind of like it. They had the creature go, sorry, that was an accident, my bad.
Yeah.
But it's like, was that necessary for the episode? Did they have to kill him?
No.
I mean, it wasn't necessary.
There was no point to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you were trying to build up this false thing that this
he might be dangerous,
then that helps.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only thing, and it just makes me sad because this was the only episode he was in.
Yeah.
I kind of liked him.
Yeah, he's a good character.
He's best known for The Black Prince, The Gold Bracelet, and the 1989 film Pet Sematary.
Oh, all right.
He looked familiar to me, but I can't put my finger on where I know him from, even like scrolling through his credits here.
I did think it was weird he knew Wesley's class schedule.
I assumed that was because Wes was assigned to engineering to do learning, and and Picard told him, he can be down here, but you got to get him to class.
All right.
I bought that.
I'll accept that.
I bought that.
I'll accept that.
Plus, all their schedules are probably public online because...
Or maybe that's just the way they say, shouldn't you be in school, young man, in the 24th
Could
century?
Be. It was during school hours, so he knew that...
Yeah. School Earth hours.
School Earth hours.
Yeah, they point out, and you know how I love this.
Yeah.
This vessel's Earth hours, but I don't know what that means if you're an Antiquan or a Saili.
I think it just means, hey, you're on our vessel. You follow our time schedule.
I would just be like, if I was one of them, like, I don't know. I got in here in Antigua, and it was 9 o'clock I don't know I have no idea.
I assume when they came aboard, part of their like briefing packet is, hey, here's how our time works. And Riker was just reminding them during the questioning, like, hey, when I'm asking you time, I'm talking about our time.
If jet lag's a bad thing, starship lag has to be the worst.
I mean, it could be anything.
Yeah. I mean, if your daily schedule is 47 hours.
My daily schedule is
it's 47 hours, and you get on this starship that's on Earth hours. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be hard to adjust to.
We also had John Durbin, who played the lead of the other aliens, I guess. Setstar?
The Sea
Lanes or whatever. He's best known for Return of the Living Dead. A couple other things I've never heard of. He will be in one episode of Voyager, and he does a 2-episode arc on later in Next Gen as a Cardassian.
That's probably better, yeah.
And also does an episode of Deep Space Nine as well. So he's one that just pops in for a part or two and leaves.
I think I like the look of both aliens. I liked it less as it went on, but I maybe if we'd had more time with them, I would have liked it. I still liked it overall. It was very much that's a snake and that's a cat, but
a Klingon cat, it looked like to me.
Yeah.
I mean, the look was decently cool for the mid-'80s or late 80s.
Yeah.
But if you're not going to do anything with it, why bother?
That's the bummer. Yeah, they just made them very simple. While we're on the aliens, I thought the Salians or whatever they were the cat creatures, right?
No.
The antique ones were. That's right.
Yes.
I thought they were very contradictory because and maybe I missed the line. I thought they were giving Riker and those guys crap about, you guys eat animals like us. But then they were eating animals, right?
They weren't upset about eating animals. They were upset that Starfleet seemed to be judging them for eating animals. Because Starfleet's like, we don't enslave animals anymore.
So he was saying there's
yeah, you do. I see you eat meat.
That makes sense.
And they're like, no, they were Impossible Burgers.
I missed that.
Or Beyond Burgers. They weren't clear whether Impossible or Beyond won out the synthetic meat.
But in the future, it's a vegan future, which is probably makes sense. I feel like
we're gonna have synthetic meat in our lifetime.
And I think, like you said, the Impossible Burger, which I haven't tried, but I feel like
when it's cooked well, it's almost indistinguishable.
Yeah, I think we're getting there. So
yeah. So, and once they get, synthesizers, it'll be even easier because it's not plant, it's just energy.
Yeah. Well, and I wondered why couldn't they just have the ship's chef just use the what are the cards they used in the original series?
Why do they even need a chef?
I can't think of the word.
Little cards.
Yeah.
Well, now they don't have to use the cards; they just speak to the synthesizer.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But apparently they have a chef. Well, it makes sense that they might have a chef for special occasions. They do delegation work and ambassador. But I love that they kill. I think this is terrible. But they kill a member of the other delegation, and then they just take him to the chef.
Yeah.
And be like, here, cook him. And the chef's like, hey, they want me to cook this thing that looks like one of those other aliens?
And I guess maybe they're not familiar with how Starship works and all that stuff.
Still, you don't cut up the body and try to disguise it?
Yeah, you're right. I know, it's weird. I did just make me think, though, in that day and age in the future, with all those planets, it makes sense that every galley or kitchen would be like going to a Vegas buffet where you can get whatever you want. They got it.
Yeah.
Anything you can think of, just use this card or whatever. Yeah, as we know from in the Children Shall Lead, when they could get any kind of ice cream combo they wanted just by getting a combo of cards from Nurse Chapel. So
it makes sense to me in Next Gen there's a chef on board because they're such a huge starship and they do ambassador stuff and all that junk.
Yeah.
On Voyager, it's a much smaller ship and a much smaller crew.
Okay.
And when they go to the Delta Quadrant, their synthesizers, they don't have enough energy. They have to conserve energy. So one thing they want to do is turn up the synthesizers a lot of the time, but they don't have a chef on board. So they have to get a chef to cook for them and help supplement. But we'll get to all that. But I think that's interesting, the difference between the big starships and the little starships.
Yeah, that makes sense. So. Yeah, so, I mean, a nice Vegas buffet.
Yes.
Not the snack bar. Well, even the snack bar with a Subway and a pizza place and a cheap Mexican place and a cheap Chinese place, it's still a similar thing.
Troy will be happy as long as they have hot fudge sundaes. That's all Troy wants. Let's jump back to the beginning of the notes.
Sure.
Fashion.
Fashion. I got a lot of fashion.
First time we saw the dress uniforms?
Yeah.
Which confuses me because they've had other diplomatic things.
Yeah.
So, just like the original series, there's not really a consistency of when they use them.
Yeah, and I don't know that I like these.
I mean, I don't know that I like the originals.
Fair.
I think they were both just variations on the regular uniform.
I can't remember which of our co-hosts really loved them every time they got in the dress uniforms, but
I think Keith liked all the little badges.
Yeah.
Do you like the look of the aliens?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, we talked about their faces,
their overall
clothing.
look. It didn't stand out to me, but maybe I was too busy looking at their heads.
It didn't stand out to me either.
Was this the first episode of Troy's scoop neck look?
I don't know. I've seen so much next year.
Yeah.
Those aren't things I'm really looking for.
Yeah.
She has a few looks.
It's definitely stayed with me from the original. Being 19 when I first saw it, I loved her. And this episode was like, okay, yep. And I know it's just a very male response to a beautiful woman, but that's what I had here. And yeah, so I love this outfit of hers. And it's a cleavage thing, sure, but I think the whole outfit looks great too. So
I think the outfit and the hair were very unflattering, but that's just my
it worked for me. So
whereas I thought Crusher looked outstanding.
Yeah.
What about
I was getting to that too.
Okay.
The return of Wesley's bad sweater, right? Wasn't this the same one we didn't like?
If it wasn't the same one, it was similar.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure.
And then I like Crusher's casual wear.
I liked her. I wrote that down too. Her loungewear.
Yeah.
No, and I liked her medical cap thing. It was like advanced of what we have for
yeah,
now.
with the one eye and the
Yeah, I liked it a lot. Oh, we're gonna talk about who wrote this pile of crap.
Oh yeah. My guess was it was like 4 different people, but
well, there are 4 people on it: Gene Roddenberry, DC Fontana, Michael Halperin, and Tracy Torme.
Yeah.
Tracy Torme was their executive story editor.
Okay.
Michael Halperin is known for writing Next Generation, and Fall Guy, and actually, this was the only episode that Michael Halperin has a story credit. So let's assume he wrote the base.
Yeah.
And then DC and Gene and Tracy all messed with it.
Oh, Roddenberry. Sorry, I missed Rod. Okay, that makes sense.
Roddenberry and Fontana.
I'm gonna blame them. I'm just prone to blame them.
And what worked out was probably Tracy Torme going in and cleaning it up. Like Michael Halperin's script was probably decent, and Gene and DC probably messed it up. That's just a guess.
I
mean, most of DC's episodes suck. I'm sorry.
I think there's some I like better than you, but there are a lot I don't like either.
I think her contribution to Star Trek should not be underestimated, and it was great. And similar to Gene. But I wish they'd leave the scripts alone.
And if we went through every Fontana script, there'd be some I know Cloud Minders I like more, and Yesteryear, of course, best of the...
which is the animated.
I know, it's not. It's a low bar. Yeah, that explains a lot about... There are so many echoes of the old series, but there's nothing I can be like, that's from that and that's from that. But if I thought more about it...
Well, Cloud Creature
taking over bodies and they're acting weird.
There were a little bit of echoes of Journey to Babel and the 2 aliens.
Yes, yeah. So
delegations hunting each other.
Yep, not liking each other, which was... Alana Troyes was also...
Yeah.
And you had the ambassador between them. He's the one who gets stabbed. So...
Yeah. It almost felt like these aliens were played for comedy.
I think so too, and they were just
But I feel like it was unintentional comedy.
I just thought it was just... Lazy is not the right word, but like you said, they introduced them, but they weren't really a distraction. They were more like, hey, you wait over here, and when we need you, we'll call you.
Maybe if they'd taken the aliens out, we could delve more into the energy being and fix that story.
And maybe it's more interesting. And again, we've had plenty of energy beings, and I did like the effects with the Enterprise in there. It was like, again, it harkens back to Kobayashi Maru and all that. But I thought those looked great. We had, speaking of the old series, we had the return of the Echo voice.
Yes.
Meaning, there is a being in here that is not me. I'm echoing. But it wasn't echoing until that point where he's like, all right, you got me.
Well, he was hiding.
I'm a being in here. Yeah. And I also noted that I felt like early on the creature was like, I don't know what I'm doing in here. But by the time I got to Picard, I was like, I got this figured out. Well, I know what to do.
But I think that was part of his explanation was he didn't know what he was doing at first. And it took him time to figure out what he was doing.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, he had to get in the computer and learn stuff. So the aliens, when they come on board... That lizard people, they're like, we need to be upwind of the other alien.
Which was funny.
And because there's, of course, no wind.
Sure.
But I love that Riker just said, of course, sir, because to me, I'm like, that's just him,
Sure, we can do that.
Abusing.
Yeah, we can do that.
Like,
we don't have to do anything. But you don't need to do that.
Early on, we had the sensor maintenance scene with Geordi and Worf, where they're both the junior officers, and they're like, oh, we're here because the captain wants the junior officers to learn. I thought that was great. I'm like, here's the beginnings of an excellent episode.
Yeah.
That's a great component.
Yeah.
Of course, the junior officers... Like,
that makes sense.
Chekhov, we saw him do different things, but it wasn't so explicit.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where I think it helps give grounds for later, and I think The old series kind of did the backwards way where it's like, well, I did this back in the day. Kirk would be like, well, I did this. I know the ship. I did backwards and forwards, which makes sense. And he was always kind of like, I'm the captain. I need to know how this whole ship works. So I learned all that. And, you know, that explained Kirk's huge past and gave you more opportunities. So I think this is kind of laying the groundwork like, this is the way it works. They learn all this stuff and eventually... Well, and it gives a good reason for like, why are you here?
Well, Worf and Geordi aren't in particular departments yet.
Right.
Which is really interesting.
Right.
And Worf does eventually basically go through command track training and become like a captain of Defiant for a while and stuff. I know he goes into security, but I always felt like he had his hand in a couple other pies. Whereas I feel like Geordi is learning everything and just going, nope, engineering my specialty. And that's how it would be.
Sure.
Like some people are going to want to learn everything and some people are going to find what works for them.
It's like doctors. They learn everything and then they end up specializing in
So I think it's interesting, though, that they didn't figure out the academy and they took it this far. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think that's very interesting. And it makes me a little sad that by season 2, they've both moved into department head positions. And they never get replaced with other characters like that. Because it's so interesting.
No, I agree. Early on, Picard makes the note that these two aliens, unlike Earth anymore, are fighting about religious things and something else and economic systems. I was like, beep, beep, beep. That's right on the nose. It was kind of amusing, but especially in 1980, in my mind, I was like in 87, right? Is that when we're in 87, 88? We're
87.
The Cold War is still going on. It's about to end, but only people in the know that. So that I found that amusing, especially the economic. If you hadn't added the economic systems part, that really drove it.
Read my lips, no new taxes.
Yeah, it was.
That was shortly after.
It was right before the wall. Yeah.
This was Reagan. This was. I mean, the design of the Enterprise, the captain's padded walls and stuff feels so 80s to me.
Yeah.
So 80s.
Yeah.
Although I will comment, I noticed in sickbay, it was similar structure to McCoy's sickbay, but here's a plant, and here's some art on the wall, and I don't know if that's just Crusher's softer touch, or people are like, let's design this to not look like a submarine, let's design this to look like someplace we can live.
Yeah, that
like
makes
a doctor's
sense.
office.
Exactly. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Although Wesley's computer and tablet are super chunky, and by today's standards, like, they don't need to be that chunky. Where's his, like, thin piece of rollable plastic?
Right.
He can look everything up on.
Yeah. Speaking of the architecture, was that the first time we'd seen when I think it's Crusher comes in from the other side of the bridge, like towards the view screen? She entered through there when she came in at one point.
Well, there's 2 turbolifts on each side.
Yeah.
So
Have we seen that before?
I don't know. And we clearly saw where Picard's office was in this episode. They also, I was trying to remember if we saw those nice little seats on the either side of Riker and Troy where people can stand.
Oh, yeah. I don't know that.
I don't think we saw sensor maintenance until now. Another note, I really liked how when Crusher went on the bridge, when she was possessed, Picard's not sitting in the center seat. He's up at top, looking over somebody's shoulder at some station. And I feel like every time we went to the bridge in the original, Kirk's in the seat.
Yeah.
But I like that Picard's not.
Yeah.
I think that's more realistic. The captain's not just going to sit there.
Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah, there were definitely times Kirk got out, but it seemed like it was like, it definitely wasn't usually at the beginning. At the end, he might be walking around.
Well, it was usually if somebody's like, Captain, you have to see this.
Right.
Where Picard's just like, hey, I'm on duty. I'm not just going to sit there.
Yeah.
I'm going to go see how everybody's doing. How's your day? How's your wife?
Yeah.
How's your sensor reading?
Well, I can't remember who was making the analogy that Kirk in the 60s was like your dad sitting in the big easy chair.
Yeah.
And everyone kind of worked around him. So it makes sense in the 80s we've moved on to...
Kirk and Picard are both very much products of their time.
Absolutely.
And I think it bothers me that everybody wants to pit him against who's the better captain. Because, first of all, the answer is Sisko. But second of all, I mean, he was a freaking god that transcended the limits of humanity. But second of all, it's like, no, they're very different.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get into Sisko and his single fatherness and his religious icon, kind of all that crap. But
getting back to Picard asking Data about the chances of this.
Yeah.
Data's like, well, it's virtually impossible.
Yeah.
I think it was kind of a nod of like, this is where Spock would say the odds are this 1,000,000 to 1, and he was just like, virtual impossibility.
Yeah.
And Spock would have said, they're always possibilities. So I thought that was a nice like, oh, we're going to give you a Spock thing. Nope, we're going to give you a similar thing and just be like, we're going to be a little different.
I still think it was a stupid line.
It wasn't a great line.
Because it's not really a virtual impossibility.
Well,
like, it takes other things acting, but...
And then eventually he's like, this is what has to be happening once he gets into the Sherlock Holmes thing, which I thought was fun overall.
Well, the Sherlock Holmes thing is going to be a running theme throughout the series. He will embody Sherlock many times, including in full costume.
Yeah.
This was just the first taste of it, and I liked it.
And again, I thought it was fun, and I thought, and this almost points to you mentioning earlier, like everyone was acting a little weird. It's like, Picard introduces him to this concept, and then eventually he's like, yeah, just stop using the pipe. It's like, come on.
I mean, I did like when he's walking around smoking the pipe and Yar's like waving the smoke away.
That I did like too.
I could think the pipe was inappropriate.
Because we did learn earlier that there's no smoking in the future, right?
Sure.
Wasn't that a couple episodes ago?
Probably.
I think we talked about that.
Probably. So. I did think it was weird that Singh was the one briefing Picard on everything when they still mentioned Chief Engineer Argyle's around.
Right.
It's like, this is pretty important. Where's the Chief Engineer?
Right.
And there were a whole bunch of officers we didn't know in that briefing, which was interesting. Like, everybody was like, we can't be bothered. We'll just send our assistants. Jumping back near the beginning, when Worf was zapped, did you like his little yell?
I guess it was ridiculous. Maybe it was a Chekhov Walter Koenig reference.
It was. It was so bad. But I'll tell you, whenever I think of Geordi, I'm always like, oh, he's just the smart one. He's not the brave one. Kind of like Scotty.
Yeah,
like you.
Sure.
Yes, we saw Scotty command the ship in battle, but that was unusual.
Right.
So when Geordi dove on a thrashing Worf, I was like, man, he's got balls.
Yeah.
Because Worf's a half Klingon, although he's half Klingon or full Klingon? He's full Klingon. He's adopted by humans. Yeah. And I'm like, he could easily kill a man. Right. I mean, he did as a child accidentally kill another kid on the soccer field. This is part of the backstory. I don't think we've learned that yet. But Geordi, even if Geordi doesn't know that, he's thrashing. It takes a lot of guts to just jump on that. So we sell Geordi short sometimes, I think.
Yeah, I haven't been able to yet, but I know some people do. Yeah. He's just the guy with the...
Well, I mean, I love LeVar Burton.
Yeah, I did, me too. That I did, yeah. Did Picard... Eventually, everyone else changed it, but didn't he keep calling it Parliament?
I didn't notice
Early on, he kept saying Parliament.
I didn't notice that, but that's like... that was a tribute to the animated series.
Okay, because
when everybody said things differently.
I couldn't decide if that's what it was, and then everyone else said Parliament, and I'm like, all right, that makes sense.
Sure. I thought it was really forced when they're like, well, who could be interfering here? The Ferengi must have bribed one of them.
Yeah.
I'm like, of all the species, you just felt the need to name drop Ferengi. Because I'm pretty sure they thought early on that Ferengi were going to be like a main alien race. Right. And they are seen decently often, but they get way more developed in DS9. But yeah, I feel like it was a forced reference to remind you, hey guys, they're Ferengi. They're part of the show. Yeah.
We're not referencing Romulans or Klingons.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get just as... I'm pretty sure, again, it's been a long time, I think we'll get just as much Romulan and Klingons in this show as we get Ferengi.
Okay.
I know the Cardassians... I don't know why I keep trying to say Kardashians. The Cardassians are introduced in Next Gen. The Maquis. There's some cool races coming up that are, like, important in ongoing shows going forward, but right now they're trying to beat the Ferengi in, and I'm just like, It seems like
weird that would be the go-to.
Well, Ferengi are interesting once they get developed, but I feel like Next Generation never gets there. I feel like it waits until DS9 when you have a Ferengi lead character and 3 or 4 or 5 other important reoccurring Ferengi that you really get an idea of what the Ferengi are. So you were talking about Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
The whole discussion about Private Eye was interesting. And because Picard is a big Dixon Hill fan, and we're going to get that here real soon.
Okay.
Who's another Private Eye.
All right.
I think it's interesting that Picard and Data both fixate on different Private Eyes.
Yeah.
But the holodeck episode we're going to do for the West Grandview Fringe Festival is Picard being Dixon Hill.
Okay.
And this is Data being Sherlock Holmes, so I don't know.
And it kind of makes sense, because I had the thought, of course, which was, well, Sherlock Holmes, and I think Sherlock Holmes probably will survive that long. I feel like he's done it for what, are we 200 years in almost?
Yeah. I just question why we need 2 Private Eyes in the Next Generation.
That I agree.
And Dixon Hill's completely fictional.
Yeah.
I mean, Sherlock is fictional, but Sherlock exists in our universe. Right. Dixon Hill was made up for Star Trek.
Yeah.
So I just kind of thought, why not just double down on Dixon Hill?
I guess from the idea of they're constantly solving mysteries in a way.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of reference that in this episode, but yeah, that's a valid question.
I mean, I'm not really complaining. I think Dixon Hill is more of a tough guy and Sherlock Holmes is more of a thinker. So they're very different approaches.
Okay.
But you'd think Picard would more naturally lean into Sherlock Holmes.
Right.
Except, maybe that's just his fantasy.
His alter ego is Dixon Hill. Yeah.
Off hours.
Yeah.
I don't know. Obviously, we'll explore both of these much more later. I did want to know, I guess I should have mentioned this during fashion, where was Wesley's uniform? He's an acting ensign.
Right.
He was on duty in engineering. He'll eventually have a uniform. Where was it?
That's a good question.
Was the costume designer like, I got to do all these aliens this week. I don't have time to fit Will Wheaton?
Does he have to wear it to class? So maybe he was like, I'm going to class, but then he got distracted.
I'm sure he wouldn't want to wear it to class because the other kids would pick on him like, oh, captain's pet. But still, I think like when he's in engineering, he should wear it.
He should have it on. Especially, I just feel like that sweater's dangerous on so many levels.
I did really appreciate that Wes was manning one of the front stations on the bridge, and then they come out of the meeting, and Data like walks on, and Wes immediately vacates with no comment. And I don't know, I guess we always see no-name officers do that when our leads come on, right. But to watch like Wes do it, and I think we've probably seen scenes where Geordi and Worf have done it as well. Yeah. I think it deepens our understanding of how the starship works.
Yes. Yeah,
I really like when Picard had his meeting of senior officers. He had Data and Troy and Riker and Crusher in there, but we got Geordi, we got Worf, we got Wes. None of them are in there, and they're all lead characters. I just like that different strata.
Yeah, we talked about this off mic while watching a little bit. Seeing the shuttlecraft model and the old Enterprise in there just warmed my TOS heart so much.
Well,
whose quarters were we in? Were we in someone's quarters?
I don't think those were quarters.
It was just a meeting room?
Briefing room.
Okay.
Meeting room.
Yeah. So
in the one briefing room, and I don't know if it was that one or not, but they have like all the old Enterprises on the wall, and there's like the sailing vessel and the U.S. naval carrier. And
I feel like that. I thought that was in one of the, and maybe it was in the novelization, or maybe it was in an extra scene, but I thought in motion picture they had something like that.
I think I remember seeing that in motion picture.
But whatever. That just.
But now they're in another briefing room, and there's other models of Enterprise stuff.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Which is a special. So the all silver Enterprise might have been made for that, but the shuttle was clearly just like a model used for filming the original series. That somebody
which I didn't care. I loved it.
Oh no, not at all.
It more, like I said, it warmed my nostalgic TOS heart. Just like, that's awesome.
I'm not complaining, but it was very much like they didn't build this. For that.
And in my mind, it's the Galileo, even though I know it's not the Galileo.
In my mind too. Yeah. That was the same one I jumped to.
Yeah.
What's the Galileo 7?
Yeah.
So I think where this episode started off the rails for me, because there were little hints early on, but when I feel it fully went off was when Troy decided to hypnotize Crusher and Worf. Yeah. You're not going to defend it?
It was not really. Because my thoughts went somewhere else, which I'll get to. But it's definitely all right. Well, it seemed like there was an easier way to figure that out than just going with that simple gimmick of hypnotizing.
Well, not only that, but Crusher is a medical professional,
right?
Troy's the psychiatrist or psychologist. I don't know. I don't remember the difference off the top of my head. But I'm not sure Troy would have been the one doing it. I'm not sure it would have gone down the way it went down. Like, I'm not... And also, hypnosis is an iffy thing now. I don't know that they'd still be playing with
That's what in my mind, I decided the betazoids.
Yeah.
She's
half beta.
They've actually got it figured out. And so it's... If they do it, it works. It's different from what
it can work for people too.
I mean, and I think...
But it's still kind of pseudoscience.
I think, end of the day, a lot of the stuff she does, they're like, this is going to be a mind meld, but we're not going to call it a mind meld.
Yeah. Well, they're like, we don't have the mind meld, so how do we get around that?
Yeah.
How do we come up with something similar? Yeah, this episode was begging for a mind meld.
In general, it doesn't bother me, I guess.
They don't have any Vulcans on board? I know they have Vulcans on board. Yeah. I know they do. Yeah. We'll see some later.
Yeah, so I just feel like that's a way around that, and I think we've talked about this maybe already, but maybe not. Is it sexist that it's like, oh, the woman is the betazoid, that she understands feelings?
I mean,
I'm sure there's male betazoids that probably have to be, right?
There are.
Because it's binary, right? As we've known all through, gender is binary throughout the galaxies.
Well, and Troy's mother is betazoid. But Beta Z is the planet. Betazoid is the people. Her mother is Betazoid, and we'll meet her, of course. Magelle.
That's right. Mother. That's right.
But her father was human. Okay. So she's only an empath. She's not a full telepath.
That's right. But what I wrote down, and this goes back to my fashion part about Troy, was Troy always had me hypnotized. So
I just don't see it. I really don't.
And
I think later seasons, when they let her put her hair down and she wears more of the traditional uniform, I find her much more attractive.
My first wife was a tiny brunette, well endowed, and then I dated a Greek woman for a long time. So that was definitely my type for a while. That has changed, but now, I think that makes sense.
Okay, thinking of one of your exes, I can see that.
Either I think I was putting Troy onto them or vice versa, but either way, it all connects. So I'm going to like her regardless.
Did either of them dress up as Troy for you?
No, I never.
Your wife's willing to throw a uniform on?
I never took that route. My wife, and this is the Star Wars segment of the podcast now. We had a neighbor that we lived with who he made a lot of Star Trek toys and all kinds of toys, and but he also made outfits for his wife, and he was willing to make my wife Princess Leia slave girl costume. We just had to pay for the materials, and we never followed through on it
because there's hardly any material to it.
Well, I think the way he was going to do it was much more of a metallic kind of thing. But either way, we never followed through. So
I was just commenting on the skimpiness of it.
Yeah,
there weren't many materials.
There didn't need to be. Yeah.
The regular white robe outfit she wears is like you could do that with a bed sheet and some cinnamon buns, right?
Yeah. And my first wife was probably a little. She's probably just a little. She's probably about the same size as Carrie Fisher.
Okay.
But she would have needed a larger top. That's for sure. So, again, we're back to Troy. Anyway, this is the Stevens
X's.
Stevens X is part of the podcast as well. But enough about that.
We need a theme song for that now.
And we might as well get to my alternate episode while we're on this, which is, I don't know, but it involves Troy and hypnotism.
My alternate episode... That's funny. My alternate episode is Troy figures it out right there when Crusher's in sickbay, and that's it.
Right. Run credits, yep.
5 minutes in, we're done.
Well, then maybe it's about the actual diplomatic part.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe we do that.
Or they tie the two stories together in some way.
Yeah.
That's what I was expecting. I was expecting somehow for there to be a distraction on one side or the other that was at a critical moment.
And to be fair, the original series, and I'm sorry everyone, I'm not picking out particular examples real well right here, but the original series occasionally also did a lot of like, we got to do this mission, but we're distracted by this thing.
Yeah.
And the original mission was like, we really got to get here, you're getting in the way. I felt like those were more urgent for the most part, but I'm sure there were a couple that were like, that's not a big deal. But
if that had just been the one thing that they were trying to get them on time, but that wasn't the one thing.
And if it's like, if we don't get there, they're going to war. But it's not like, no, this goes on all the time. This isn't a big deal.
And the cat people are like, they'll wait for us.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, and maybe that was the idea. It was like, well, we don't want you to worry about this too much.
It was that false urgency.
Yeah.
And the original series did the same thing. Like, we have to get there.
Right.
But 2 days later, it'll be fine.
I can't think of the one where they had to get the cure there, but I'm sorry when I'm failing.
No, you're not a good Star Trek fan.
We can get to my least favorite part of the episode right now.
The transport solution?
Yes!
Yeah.
Everyone knows I do not like that. I refuse to recognize it. I will refuse to recognize it again here. This one is not as egregious, but it's still...
I mean, the transporter... It's well known that Gene just created it as a convenience for budget, and there wasn't real thought into it.
Right.
The way the transporters explained how it would work, it would seem that anytime a crew member dies, you just beam a new version from the pattern in the database.
Right.
Like, Singh died?
Right.
Give us a second. We got to do Singh.
Let's get the last time he beamed.
Yeah.
We get that guy back.
And you'd think they'd beam like daily just for regularity.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It felt very Deus Machina.
Yes. That's perfectly explained. And I do not like it. Because then it just begs, anytime someone dies, why not just do that? And so then there's no real stakes. But I think in the context of all the episodes of Star Trek, while you're watching, you're like, I don't think I regularly think, just put them in the transporter. They can take care of this. But whenever they do that, I think, I don't like this.
No.
But I don't think it doesn't hurt the tension in another episode. But it just feels like,
it always feels
we need a way out. Yeah.
It always feels too easy, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't come up.
Was it Counterclock Incident? Was that was that the one
where they beamed them back to their normal ages?
That was the one in the animated series. That's where it started. I'm like, I don't like this. So I refuse to recognize that.
That was awful.
I shall not recognize that.
Picard's still dead.
Canon.
He's not the rest of the show. I mean, honestly, as this was playing out and Picard was going off, I'm like, how interesting would it be if a show like this kills their captain halfway through the first season. I mean, we've seen examples of like a story either doing it at the end or at the very beginning, but to kill him off unexpectedly halfway through. And at this point, Patrick Stewart was hanging the show and probably won it off. So, like, shifting the captaincy to Riker, and that would make it more original series.
It would have been.
I don't know. I think it... I'm glad they did it because I love Patrick Stewart.
I am too.
And I love Picard. But from a storytelling perspective, I would have read a story like that.
Yeah.
You know?
That would have been interesting. I don't have too much else. I like just that Geordi used the term buku trouble. We'll be in buku trouble. I appreciate that. I had a high school teacher who always used the term buku. And then this last one, this is just about the creature inhabiting Picard. I just love that his ready-made excuse was, I'm too busy, and then just put his feet up on the desk.
I feel like the feet up on the desk should have been all the sign they needed to relieve him from command. That's so anti-Picard.
And I feel like, I wrote Office Space, I feel like, and I know Judge is a Star Trek fan, Mike Judge, in Office Space, Ron Livingston, after he goes through the hypnotism.
Sure.
He tells the guys, just come on back. He tells Lumberg, just come on back. I'm busy while he's eating Cheetos and playing Tetris. So I'm going to say Star Trek inspired that. This particular episode, even though it's not a great episode, inspired that. And that's all I got as on notes.
Yeah, me too. Let's see. Wesley annoyance scale. I'm going to say a 2.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty good this episode.
I think it was good.
Other than his outfit.
Annoyance to me was Sing Sang get to class.
Yeah, I didn't like that. And
that's why I'm going 2 instead of 1.
I wish, and he was another one that I wish he pushed his mom a little more, like when she was like, I just don't remember.
Yeah.
Because it didn't feel like, I could see it be like, if she was like, I forgot, when was that? Did we talk about that today? Because we do that every day with people in our lives.
I blame Troy much more. For him, I'm like, he's a kid, he's distracted.
Right.
That's his thing. And
that's fair. That's fair.
Kids are so much more egocentric.
Yeah.
Just by
nature. All right, you know what, Mom? I don't care. I got other stuff to talk about. You're right. That's fair. That's fair. But
I'm
he
just
didn't
giving him
bother
a 2 because there's just the minorest of... Who was your annoyance in this episode? I can tell you mine, while you think, is all the aliens they were transporting.
Yeah, that's where I was leaning.
Because none of them make any sense and it's stupid.
Yeah, I think I'm with you.
Aliens they were transporting.
That's what popped into my head.
Yeah, that's the annoying part.
Yeah.
I mean, I at least understand the energy beam. I don't understand the aliens.
No, then we didn't.
Like, they're so close they're going to be in the Federation, and they're just going to blow that up to hunt each other on the Enterprise D. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Attractiveness. You've got the ballerina from last week.
I don't remember anyone new being in this episode, really.
I mean, we don't know what gender the aliens were.
That's fair.
You can always pick the energy cloud. Because
Keith would if he was here.
Singh was looking pretty good.
Sure.
We had all those non-speaking.
There was one officer, I think, in the one meeting, but I'm going to stick with the ballerina. She was...
I never expected to hang on this long, but I'm still a McDougal from episode 2. She's the chief engineer that got away from me.
Hey.
I won her back.
Hey, she's hanging in there.
Ranking I did not think we'd make it 6 episodes in, and I'm still on my one for number 2. I just feel like it's kind of slim pickings a little bit.
It has been, yeah.
But I also really liked McDougal. So, ranking the episode. Best episode or bestest episode? From the bottom.
Yeah.
Better or worse than Code of Honor?
Better. I thought there were more interesting pieces.
I think there were interesting concepts.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll give you better because I hate Code of Honor that much.
Yeah.
Where no one has gone before.
And that was last week, and that was The Traveler, and right? I didn't care for that one either. But I didn't care for this one either. Yeah, I think I'll go with... I'll just... this is below, I think. Probably.
I was trying not to influence you too heavily, but that's where it goes. It's already on there.
Yeah.
I mean, where no one has gone before was boring, but it made sense. Code of Honor did also make sense. It was also boring, but I don't know. There's something about Code of Honor I just really hate.
Yeah.
It's also sexist, and the combat stuff was stupid, and I don't like that that junk.
No, I think that's accurate. I can't make an impassioned argument for this to go above where no one has gone before.
I think where no one has gone before had some interesting concepts. But as we established, this had interesting concepts too.
Yeah, it did.
Didn't follow up on them.
Yeah, then the ending was so abrupt to me on this one. And maybe that's because I kept thinking, they're going to make this all make sense eventually.
Yeah.
And then they're like, nope, see you next week.
So as much as I hated the 2 alien species in this one, they are probably why I put this above Code of Honor. Because I enjoyed them, even though I was very annoyed by them.
Yeah.
Whereas in Code of Honor, I just hated those
Yeah,
people. They weren't fun. Next week, Justice. On an alien planet, young Wesley Crusher commits a transgression. Small by our standards, but mandatorily punishable by death in theirs.
Oh, geez. This sounds like ripped from the headlines, but I can't remember what that headline was.
1987. Aired in November 7th. You remember November 7th, 1987? Were you drunk?
No, I did not drink then.
I didn't drink then either because I was 6.
I was old enough to drink because the age was 19 then, and I was 19. No, I can't tell you what I was doing.
Like I said, IMDb ranks this lower.
Oh, wow. And it's called Justice?
It's called Justice. So we're going to go watch that right now. Next week.
I will research whether this is ripped from the headlines, whether this is Law and Order, Star Trek Law and Order, in the meantime.
Yeah, there's a much longer description on here, but I think that one's enough. It definitely seems like it's going to be a Wesley Crusher episode, which...
that annoyance factor is...
Could go up. Though the picture is Troy and some alien guy.
All right, my annoyance factor is going back down.
I had to throw that in there so you would not just leave right now. Because we got to watch it. We got to do it for the fans.
For next week.
For next week.
Yeah. Sure.
I expect you to stay here all week until next week. Until then, live long.
And prosper.
And don't fly near energy clouds.
No, come on. If you've learned one thing, stay away from clouds.
It's All Been Done presents.
Who's got the time?